Welcome to Her Life Unscripted podcast, inspiring burnt out, stressed out, and stretched thin women to embrace the unscriptedness of life. Hosted by Anna Osborne.
Hello, lovelies. I am so excited to be here today for episode 16 with all of you. And it's just one of those days where I'm feeling very inspired and very just kind of in tune with the world around me and excited to see what will come as I follow this energy of inspiration, motivation. I don't know if you ladies and gentlemen have days like that, but I definitely notice there's days where my energy is more in line with movement and other days where my energy is more in line with kind of sitting and observing. So today's one of those days where I'm definitely in a movement place. And I'm really looking forward to today's episode. It is all about the ripple effect. I believe it was episode 12 that I got kind of emotional talking about this concept of being able to the ripples that we create in our life and really, can one person make a difference? And so for me, this episode is really about being able to kind of broaden and expand on that topic from episode 12. So really the question that we're posing today is, can one person really make a difference? And honestly, this is something that is just such a huge part of my belief system. And I really want to have a whole conversation with all of you about it today. So for those of you that haven't listened to episode 12 yet, let me just start by saying that me, Anna Osborne, 100% believes that, like, with everything in my being, that one person can make a profound difference in the world. And I invite anyone to debate me on this because, well, I don't really want you to debate me on it, but that could get a little nutty. But the truth is I really, really strongly believe this. And I believe it like in the essence of my being, in my bones, because what the hell are we doing if we don't believe it, right? Like, we are in such a stuck place if we believe that one person cannot make a difference. And so it actually has become almost like a pet peeve of mine in terms of when people don't believe this or they kind of mock it. I know you guys have probably experienced people like this where they will throw a piece of garbage on the ground and they'll say like, oh, what's the big deal? It's just another piece of garbage, or they'll walk by something that is broken or needs fixing or whatever the case may be, and they just won't do anything about it. And the energy that those type of people bring is one that can be really stagnant or keep us really stuck. I remember years ago, I heard a story about Bill Belichick. I don't know, for those of you that are football fans, I'm a huge sports fan. Obviously, I've mentioned that before, but the story about Bill Belichick that allegedly he puts and he's a very kind of fanatical, interesting man, but he puts a piece of garbage out in front of his office window, and he sees how many people step over that piece of garbage and how many people actually bend down, pick it up, and, find a place to put it. And the reason he does that is to kind of see the character of people when no one is watching. And it really ties into this idea of whether or not one person can make a difference, because I think that the way that we carry ourselves when no one's watching and the energy that we bring about realizing that picking up that one piece of garbage or saying that hello or greeting someone with a smile, it may seem like the smallest thing in that moment, but the ripple effect that it creates in the people and the interactions around us is really, really profound. And so that's the topic we're diving in today. And I'm fired up to be able to talk about it with you guys. So let's go. Today's episode is really all about inspiring us to take action, right? And see the choices around us, especially in times when we feel like there is no choices or there are no options. I know I mentioned a moment ago about people that really stay in a stuck place and the energy they bring. And this is not meant to shame anybody for when they have been in a stuck place or if they're currently in a stuck place, but really this is to inspire us to be able to find the ways that we can create ripples around us and really motivate us to look for the choice in amongst these opportunities. So thinking about kind of this concept to begin with, obviously I've told you my beliefs about it, and I want to totally hear your guys's. So please share about why this is something that you hold to be true also, or even if why it's something you struggle with. I think that in the work that I do with folks in my psychotherapy office, they typically come to me because they are stuck, right? They've tried their hardest to find a solution to a problem, whether it's communication or healing or, a myriad of different things, but they're coming to me because they have tried on their own to find a solution and now they're in a place of stuckness. And so for me, when folks come to me and say, I'm stuck, please help, I'm really, really honored to be able to help them with that. And the fact that they're trusting me to be on that journey with them. But the other part of me is so just inspired by them because they're recognizing that they're stuck and they're asking for help. So I really want to kind of hone in on that point of that when we are feeling stuck, how do we reach out for support and let there be a voice and an energy to that feeling? I think oftentimes when we are in a place of stuck, we can't see the forest for the trees, right? We don't see anything but the ways that we are limited or the ways that we are confined. And today I really want us to be able to look at the ways that we can find choices in amongst even the smallest things. And like I said, being able to create that ripple effect around us. I know that in my immediate family, my husband and my kids, that when I am in a place of frustration or impatience, I don't have any response to anybody around me but frustration and impatience, right? And so the ripple effect that I then create around me is met with impatience and frustration. And as much as I want to put that on the people around me and say, like, look, I know I'm showing up and I'm not creating a positive ripple in our immediate family or in my marriage, but really it's on you to do it because I'm not going to take responsibility for what I can change in this dynamic. And that's such a powerless place to be when we hand over our ability to create change to someone else. Even if it's somebody that we love and we trust, that when we take the ability for us to create change on our own and we hand that to somebody else, we're immediately disempowered, right? We're immediately stuck. And so part of being able to recognize the ripple effect around us and how we can really create a profound one is first being able to recognize that no matter what the situation, we have choice. And I know that that statement in and of itself can be very wounding to people to hear because there are horrific, huge, traumatic things that happen around us that we have no choice in them occurring. And therefore we can feel like we have no choice to change them. But recognizing, and this is the part that I really find to be, so passionate about, is that what are the littlest, smallest, just minuscule step that we can do to create choice in amongst us. And so when we are in a place of darkness or we're in a place of pain, can we greet somebody else with a hello versus our eyes down looking at the floor? Can we acknowledge that maybe the sun feels warm on our skin that morning, or, the cup of coffee that we allowed ourselves to have in that place of pain tasted kind of good. Or maybe it tasted like nothing, but man, there was a choice to have that cup of coffee versus sit there and feel like you couldn't possibly make a cup of coffee. And so what I really mean by that of being able to create this ripple around us is being able to look for the smallest, teeniest place where we can start to create change. And once we make the choice to be able to say, okay, everything around me feels trapped and stuck and there's no way I can move, but maybe I have choice amongst it, we start to have this energy that flows through our body that's really, really amazing. And when we honor that energy of movement, we do start to create a ripple effect. One thing that I am always, always amazed by in the work that I do with folks is when they come to me and they talk about this place of stuckness and feeling like they've got no choice. And then they describe to me these really amazing choices they're making on a daily basis, and they're not even acknowledging that they're making them. For example, somebody comes and says, things are so hard right now. There's nothing I can do to change it. I am so stuck. I'm in so much pain. It doesn't make a difference what I do. It will not make a difference. And then they tell me about, sitting and playing with their kid and being present with their child. And they don't even acknowledge that in that moment, being present and playing with their child is an amazing choice of action. right? They've just created a ripple effect of connection with their kiddo, right? And they didn't even acknowledge it. All they saw was the stuckness rather than being able to really shower themselves with praise that they were able to be present with their child in that small moment and create a moment of connection and create a moment of love. So that's really what it is when we're feeling so in the thick of things, like we're standing in the tar, is being able to look at how can we create choices and change in amongst us. So one thing I think that's really important for me when it comes to this ripple effect idea is also being able to be so profoundly aware of the people around us. I know growing up, that one thing that my parents would say to me that absolutely drove me crazy is, I'd ask to go somewhere, go do something, go away for the weekend with friends, which my parents were like, you're 16, like that's not going to happen. But my 16-year-old mind thought it was the best idea to go away for the weekend and go camping with friends or whatever the case may be. And the answer my parents would give me is, it's not that we don't trust you. It's that we don't necessarily know or trust the people that you're going with. And that used to drive me bonkers because it felt like, wait a second, you trust me to make good choices. Who the heck cares? The people around me, it doesn't matter. I'll be able to make good choices independent of whatever choices they're making. But now, obviously, the other side of parenting, now that I am a parent myself, I realize that there's actually a lot of truth in that, right? That we are so impacted by the company that we keep. And that if we are spending time with people that are in a space of stuckness or a space of negativity, or that really believe that it doesn't matter what we do, that we can't create, that one person can't make a difference in this world, that we actually start to really adopt that worldview. And it's a really toxic worldview. And being able to create distance from those relationships, or at least perspective from those relationships. I know early on in this podcast, we talked about that some relationships in our lives are ones that just won't change, right? They are the relationship with our family, our in-laws, our partners, friends, things that we can't really change, but we can at least create perspective in those relationships to realize that when we are engaging in interactions with those people, that we leave that interaction a little bit more negative, a little bit more closed off. And so even if we can't change those relationships, like they're the best that they're ever going to be, and there's nothing we can do to change them, at least we can ripple effect in terms of having the awareness to kind of, I guess, shower or cleanse ourselves from that negativity when we leave those interactions. And I think that that's a way to be able to, again, create choice in amongst relationships that feel like they'll never change. Like, what's your mindset going into that interaction? What are some of the boundaries or the buffers that you need to put up in order to not be negatively impacted by that relationship? And also, what are the ways that you kind of, cleanse yourself of the negativity from that relationship or that interaction afterwards so that you then don't take on their worldview of feeling powerless or disempowered? And so I think that that's really important. The other day at the gym, we were, after the class that I take, one of the coaches was sharing about just how important it is, the things that we see in the world and the things that we hear, and being just really empowering ourselves to take steps to create, distance from messages and images that are coming into our mind that creating negativity. And I think that that's actually a really powerful ripple effect, that recognizing that not only what we take in the world, but also what we put out in the world has a profound impact on us. And so if we are taking in negativity, but we expect ourselves to have a ripple effect of positive change, then we're really setting ourselves up to fail. And so kind of safeguarding those ways in terms of how we receive information, what information we're receiving, is another way to start creating action towards kind of changing the flow of energy and really being able to have a positive ripple effect around us. And I think another thing too that's really important in this concept is being able to see whether or not people around us support this idea. I know for me, like I said, I have had to and will continue to create distance with people who tell me that one person doesn't make a difference in the world. And I think that I will continue to do that, like I said, but I have to do it for my own kind of psyche. Like I said early on, this is a concept that I just believe in my bones to be true. And it's one that I have to believe because of, if I don't believe that one person can make a difference in the world, then I start to call into question every moment of my day, whether it's professionally in the work that I do with clients or just the work that I do in my own marriage and in parenting and my friendships, right? That if I don't believe that me showing up in a way that is as patient or loving as I can muster up in that moment, if I don't believe that that can make a difference in the world around me, then what are we all doing, right? Like it starts to become really, really overwhelming and dysregulating thinking that we wouldn't have that impact. So I know for me is being able to honor how important that is to me and how much of a truth it is for me, and being able to create distance with people who really don't hold that worldview or who kind of make fun of it. And so I really today, as we're talking about this, I hope the wheels are turning in a couple of ways. One, in terms of being able to see when things have happened around you or to you, have you also then handed over your power and said, well, there's nothing else I can do about it, or there's nothing I can do because it's already all happened. And, it wasn't my choice or it wasn't my fault. So therefore I can't do anything to change it. And if that has happened to you, how can we as a community, how can we as Her Life Unscripted peeps rally around you to allow you to see the ways that you can create change even in amongst circumstances that you haven't created on your own or tragedies that have struck your life? So that I think is the first point. The second point is recognizing that if you are in a place of stuckness and you want that to change, can you reach out for support? Whether it's through, listening to podcasts, reading books, going into therapy, joining a group of people that are like-minded with you. Like, what can you do to empower yourself around movement? And please reach out. I have got, resources that I'm absolutely 100% happy to share with you. If you are in the place of, yes, I don't know how to do it, but man, I feel like I'm stuck and I want to create a ripple effect of change around me. So please do that. And the next is, how are you, if you are in a place of movement, if you're in a place of flow, how are you using that energy to positively impact the world around you? How are you creating ripple effects of inspiration and motivation and hope and light around you? Because I think it's so important when we are the holders of hope, the givers of light, which I know so many of you listening are in your lives. Like, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast unless there was something about you that was a hope holder and a giver of light. Like, this podcast wouldn't resonate with you if you weren't one of those people, right? So knowing that you have that capability and that amazing power, how are you using that for good in your life? Like, I want to know, what are the things that you are doing in your life to create light for yourself and for those around you? And it's even as small as looking somebody in the eye when you talk to them at the grocery checkout line. It's as small as when you're, backing out of a parking spot and you let the other person go first. Like, these are positive ripple effects, and being able to recognize that if you are a holder of hope and a giver of light, share with us. What are you doing to inspire people around you? And I think one thing that's so just amazing about being able to connect with you guys today around this topic is, obviously, it's something I feel passionate about. You can hear it in my voice. It's hard for me to temper this because it is something I'm so riveted by and so passionate by. But it's also being able to say, like, okay, I am listening to this podcast, and here is Anna. I feel like I'm talking in the third person a lot today. But here is Anna saying that if I'm listening to this podcast, then there must be something about me that is a holder of hope or a giver of light, right? So being able to tap into that part of you, even if it's something that has been buried and dusted over, being able to tap into that and start to see the ways that you're actually creating change around you. Like I said, when folks come to me so often, they don't see the fact that they're actually creating amazing change around them, and being able to really work with them and help them see it and show gratitude and praise to themselves that they're actually creating change in really, really unfortunate circumstances is absolutely amazing. So even if that part of you that holds hope is so muddied and dusted over, like, move some of that dust around to be able to see how you're really creating that for the people around you. So I'm so inspired right now, and I'm so motivated, and I feel like I could go on and on in this podcast, but I want to stop here because I want you guys to share with me. Like, I want you to hop over to the SpeakPipe app right this second, go to the website, herlifeunscripted.com, click on the SpeakPipe app. It's in every single show note link, and send me some voice feedback. Like, how are you inspiring others? How are you creating ripple effects in your relationships, in your marriage, in your parenting, in your workplace? Like, what are you doing to create that? And share with us. I want to have a whole show of just your guys' voices sharing about how you are the holder of hope, the giver of light, and the one who creates ripple effects of positivity in your life. So I'm so inspired by all of you listening, and I'm so just humbled and so gracious for the feedback you're offered so far with the show. And I cannot wait to hear your guys' feedback on this. So thank you so much for letting me into your worlds and into your hearts today. And I am so inspired and just, I can't wait to hear the action that you guys are taking and how you're moving out of a place of stuckness and really creating this amazing ripple effect in the ways that you live your lives. Thank you so much, ladies. And I can't wait to talk to all of you soon. Bye-bye.
Want to learn about the latest retreats, workshops, and speaking events hosted by Anna? Head over to herlifeunscripted.com to get in on all the juicy details. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so we can continue to grow our amazing audience. Lastly, be sure and send in your voice feedback via the SpeakPipe app or to Anna@herlifeunscripted.com. We can't wait to hear from you.